Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are wrestling with a document that I can only describe as a monster.
That's putting it lightly.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
We usually look at news articles, maybe a trend piece, but today we are cracking open a 66-page institutional research report from Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, I spent the last 2 days with a highlighter and a lot of coffee just getting through the appendices.
Same here.
Yeah.
And this thing has just set the financial internet on fire, all about one of the most, polarized companies out there, Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
And just to set the stage for you, the headline numbers that came out of this report were, well, they were shocking.
They really were.
Morgan Stanley didn't just nudge the rating. They basically called Tesla a top pick, moved the rating to overweight, and hiked their price target from $250.
All the way up to $400.
All the way to $400. That's a 60% upside.
Which is just, you almost never see that for a company this big. For a large cap stock, a reputable firm predicting a 60% jump overnight it's wild.
Exactly. So my first thought, and I think everyone's first thought was, okay, did they find a way to sell 1 million Cybertrucks next year or something?
Right. Is the Model 2 coming early?
Yeah, but that's the trap, isn't it?
That is exactly the trap.
Yeah.
If you open this report looking for, automotive gross margins or delivery numbers for Q4, you'd be totally lost. Because this upgrade has almost nothing to do with selling cars. It's about a computer.
A supercomputer.
Specifically, a custom-built proprietary supercomputer that they call Dojo.
Dojo. It sounds cool. I'll give them that.
It does.
But let's just pause here because this sounds insane on the surface. The entire thesis is that a back-end server, something, sitting in a dark room somewhere, is going to unlock over $500 billion in value.
Yeah.
That's more than Toyota and Ford combined.
It sounds like hyperbole, but when you actually dig into the math, the logic is, well, it's surprisingly sturdy.
Okay.
The argument is that Tesla is going through a kind of metamorphosis. We saw them go from a niche EV maker to a mass-market car company. That was phase 1.
Right.
But Morgan Stanley says we're watching phase 2 now, the shift from a hardware company to a software and services giant. And Dojo is the engine, literally the brain that makes it happen.
So our mission today is to figure out if that number, that $500 billion, is real or if it's just, Wall Street fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
We need to unpack what Dojo actually is, why Tesla is spending a fortune building their own silicon instead of just buying it from NVIDIA like everyone else.
Which is a great question.
And how this could turn Tesla into the next Amazon Web Services. That's the part that really got me.
That's the aha moment. If you get the AWS parallel, you get the whole report.
All right, let's start with the name, Dojo. The report mentions this isn't just a random cool-sounding name.
No, it's very deliberate. It's a nod to martial arts. In Japanese, dojo means place of the way.
A place of training?
Exactly. It's where you go to practice, to train, to perfect your craft. And for Tesla's AI, that's literally what this machine is. It's the gym where the AI goes to work out.
Okay, but here's where I get a little stuck, and I bet a lot of you do too. Tesla has had full self-driving for years. The cars have powerful computers inside them. So why do they need a building-sized supercomputer?
That's the fundamental question. And to understand Dojo, you have to understand the problem they're solving. It's a data problem. Morgan Stanley uses this great phrase for it. They call Tesla's cars sensor-encrusted robots.
I love that. It's very sci-fi.
It's really accurate, though. Think about it. There are about 5 million Teslas on the road right now.
And that's growing fast.
It could be 50 million by the end of the decade. And every single time one of those cars drives past a stop sign or sees a kid chase a ball into the street, its cameras are recording video.
And we're not talking about like a few little clips.
No, we are talking about exabytes of data. They have over 400,000 people in the full self-driving beta program right now.
Wow.
And those users have logged over 300 million miles. That is a library of video that captures almost every weird, chaotic driving scenario on Earth.
So they have this massive video library. But having the data doesn't make the car smart.
Precisely. Data sitting on a hard drive is just, it's ore in the ground. You have to refine it. In AI, that process is called training. You feed that video into a neural network so the computer can watch it and learn.
So it sees 1 million cars stopping at a red light and goes, oh, I should probably stop too.
Exactly. But processing video is infinitely harder than, say, processing text or a spreadsheet. You're dealing with time, 3D space, motion.
Right.
To train an AI on that scale requires a ridiculous amount of computing power. And Tesla basically hit a wall. They were facing what they called a compute crisis.
So why not just do what everyone else does? Call up NVIDIA, order a few thousand H100 chips, and write a check.
Two big reasons. First, scarcity. We are in the middle of an AI gold rush. OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, they're all fighting for the exact same chips.
So even with Elon's checkbook, they couldn't just buy their way to the front of the line.
Not for the sheer volume they needed. And that brings us to the second reason, cost. If you try to build a supercomputer at the scale Tesla needs using off-the-shelf NVIDIA chips, the price tag is astronomical. Billions and billions of dollars.
So this is the classic make versus buy decision.
Yeah.
And Tesla, being Tesla, decided to make.
Vertical integration to the extreme. They decided to design their own chip from the ground up, optimized for just one thing, training AI on video.
And this is the D1 chip the report is all about.
Since the one, designed by Tesla, made by TSMC, and they built it to be modular. It's kind of like Legos.
Okay, walk us through it. Let's visualize this thing.
So you start with a D1 chip, that's the base unit. You take 25 of those and you fuse them together onto a single wafer. They call that a tile.
Got it, a tile.
Then you take 6 of those tiles and put them in a tray. You slide 2 of those trays into a cabinet.
Okay.
And finally, you link 10 of those cabinets together to form what they call an exapod.
An exapod. That sounds like something from the Death Star.
It does, but the exo stands for exaflop. It's a measure of computing power, a quintillion calculations per second.
A quintillion? I can't even visualize that number.
It's a billion billions. Just one of these exapods puts Tesla in the top tier of supercomputers on the planet. And they aren't just building one.
Okay, so they built their own monster computer. But here's where I have to be the skeptic again.
Go for it.
NVIDIA is a $3 trillion company for a reason. Their chips are the gold standard. Is Tesla's homemade chip really better? Or is this just about control?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question. And the report spends a lot of time on the specs here. They call them the wow stats.
Give me the wow.
Okay, so compared to the NVIDIA A100 setup, which was sort of the benchmark at the time, Tesla claims Dojo offers 4 times greater performance.
4 times. That's not a small difference.
No. And it also has a 5 times smaller physical footprint, which matters a lot for data center space. And it's 1.3 times more energy efficient.
But the CFO, the person signing the checks, what do they care about?
They care about the cost. And this is the killer stat. For the same amount of performance, Dojo is theoretically 6 times cheaper than using NVIDIA chips.
6 times cheaper.
Yeah. That changes the entire economics of AI development. The report actually does the math on this. Tesla wants to reach 100 exaflops of power by late 2024.
Okay.
If they tried to do that with NVIDIA hardware, the bill would be somewhere around $8 billion.
$8 billion for chips.
Yeah, but if they use Dojo and that 6x number holds, the cost drops to about $1.25 billion.
So they save over $6.5 billion just by doing it themselves.
Exactly. But honestly, the money isn't even the most important part.
What's more important than saving $6 billion?
Time, the speed of learning. The report says that Dojo reduces the training time for a typical workload from about 1 month down to less than 1 week.
Whoa. Okay, let's pause on that. That means if your engineers are trying to fix a problem, like car gets confused by a weird intersection.
With the old tech, you tweak the code, you start the training, and you come back in a month to see if it worked.
A whole month wasted if it didn't.
Right. With Dojo, by Friday, you can iterate 4 times faster than your competition. In the race to autonomy, that speed is everything.
I do want to play devil's advocate here again, though.
Please.
The report does say these are Tesla's claims. And NVIDIA is not standing still. They've got the H100 now, which is way faster than the A100.
Absolutely, and the report is clear on that. The analyst, Adam Jonas, brings in a semiconductor expert who says, NVIDIA is moving at light speed. The gap might narrow.
So it's not a permanent advantage.
It might not be, but the key is specialization. An NVIDIA chip is like a Swiss Army knife. It's amazing at everything. It can run ChatGPT, model weather systems, whatever.
For the general purpose.
Exactly. Dojo is a scalpel. It only does one thing, process video. And for Tesla, video is the whole game. They don't need a Swiss Army knife. They need a scalpel to perform surgery on self-driving code.
So we have a faster, cheaper computer. Let's connect this back to the stock price. How does this justify that $400 target? How does Dojo actually make money?
This gets us to what Morgan Stanley calls the double flywheel.
I love a good flywheel effect. Break it down for us.
Okay, so flywheel number 1 is the auto flywheel. That's the car business. You use manufacturing efficiencies to lower costs, you sell more cars.
Which means more cameras on the road, capturing more data.
Correct. And that data feeds flywheel number 2. The sauce flywheel. Software as a service. All that video goes into Dojo. Dojo trains the AI better and faster. The full self-driving software actually starts to work really well.
And because it works, more people subscribe to it for a monthly fee.
And that subscription revenue is the holy grail for investors. It's high margin, it's recurring, it's just better than selling hardware.
Right.
And this leads to what the report calls the FSD ChatGPT moment.
I saw that phrase. It feels like everyone is looking for their ChatGPT moment these days. Does it really apply here?
I think it does. It refers to a specific technical shift in how the car learns to drive, moving to their version 12 software.
What changes in version 12?
Well, historically, self-driving cars relied on humans labeling things. You'd have an army of people drawing boxes around stop signs in videos and tagging them stop sign.
Which sounds incredibly tedious.
And impossible to scale. You can't write a rule for every single thing that could happen on a road. With version 12, thanks to Dojo's power, they're moving to end-to-end neural nets.
Meaning?
Instead of telling the car what a stop sign is, you just feed it millions of hours of video of good drivers. The computer sees that 99% of the time, when a human sees a red octagon, they stop.
It learns the behavior, not the rule.
It develops intuition. It's like learning to catch a ball. You don't calculate the physics, your brain just figures out the pattern. But doing that for driving takes an astronomical amount of video data. That's why Dojo is the key.
So the chain of logic is Dojo works, which means FSD actually works, which means people will pay for it.
And the valuation model just explodes.
Yeah.
Morgan Stanley predicts that the network services part of the business, the software, could hit $335 billion in revenue by 2040.
$335 billion from software alone. That's bigger than most car companies today.
Yes. And with software margins, not par margins, they think by 2040, software could be over 60% of Tesla's total EBITDA.
So in the future, Tesla is basically a software company that just happens to sell hardware to run its software on.
That's the thesis. They see the average revenue per user, the ARPU, going from about $100 a month to $180 a month by 2030.
Okay, but this is all still tied to the car. The report goes even further, right? This is where it started to feel like science fiction to me with the Amazon comparison, the AWS moment.
The AWS moment, yeah, this is the moonshot part of the analysis.
And for anyone who doesn't know the history, Amazon Web Services wasn't originally a product they were trying to sell.
Not at all. In the early 2000s, Amazon was just an online bookstore growing too fast. Their servers were a mess. So Bezos basically said, we need to build a bulletproof, scalable infrastructure just for ourselves, just to keep the website from crashing.
They built it to solve their own problem.
Right. But then they had this realization, wait a minute, every other company has this same problem. Startups, Netflix, they all need server space. Why don't we rent them ours?
And now AWS makes up something like 70% of Amazon's total profit.
It's the cash cow. And Morgan Stanley thinks Dojo could be Tesla's AWS.
So Tesla builds Dojo to solve its own self-driving problem. But once it's built, they can rent it out to others.
Exactly. Think about it. We are entering the age of AI, but everyone is focused on large language models, on text. The next huge frontier is visual AI, computers that can see and understand the real world.
And who else needs that?
Who doesn't? The report lists a dozen industries: aviation, healthcare analyzing millions of x-rays to find tumors, security, manufacturing.
Manufacturing seems like a huge one.
It's huge. Robots on an assembly line detecting tiny defects. If you're a robotic startup, do you want to spend $500 million building your own AI training center? Or do you just upload your video to the Dojo cloud and pay a fee?
It becomes the utility company for computer vision.
That is the vision. And you can't ignore the Mosconomy factor here.
There's other companies.
Exactly. They're the built-in first customers. X, formerly Twitter, is becoming a video platform. It needs to train algorithms on video. Dojo can do that.
SpaceX.
Cracking orbital debris, satellite communication. It's all a visual computing problem. And then you have the ultimate use case. Optimus.
The humanoid robot.
Optimus needs the same brain as the car. It has to navigate a factory, recognize tools, avoid people. It uses the same underlying AI. So improving Dojo for the car directly improves the robot.
It's fascinating how it's all connected.
Yeah.
It really does sound like they're building a foundational layer for, well, for visual AI.
And that's why the valuation bridge in the report is so dramatic. They're not just adding a few bucks for better margins. They added $500 billion of enterprise value to their model based on this.
$500 billion. They added the value of basically 3 Toyotas to the company's market cap just because of this computer.
It shows you how high the stakes are. But, and we have to be really clear, this is all based on execution.
Right. Building supercomputers is hard. We've seen Tesla promise things before that took way longer than expected.
Extremely hard. And if NVIDIA comes out with a chip next year that's 10 times faster and cheaper, Dojo could become an expensive paperweight.
So it's a very high-wire act.
It is. But if they pull it off, the upside is it's unlike anything we've ever seen in the auto industry.
So let's wrap this up. We started with a stock upgrade, and we ended up talking about the future of how machines see the world.
We did. I think the takeaway for you is to stop looking at Tesla as just a car company. The report makes a really compelling case that they're turning into a tech hardware company and then into a high-margin software and services provider.
All powered by a supercomputer they built themselves, because no one else could sell them what they needed.
Precisely.
It's a wild story. It's almost like the cars are just the Trojan horse to get the data to build the computer, to then rule the AI world.
That is a very plausible way to look at it.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with, and this comes straight from the report. If Dojo works, and that's a huge if, Tesla isn't just competing with Ford or Toyota anymore. They aren't even just competing with Waymo.
No.
They're competing for the backbone of all visual intelligence. So the question is, are we watching the birth of the next AWS, but for vision? That is a multi-trillion-dollar question.
And the answer to that will define the next decade for this company, and maybe for a lot of others too.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.